Tonight, America has crossed a line. The nation stands at a crossroads, facing a threat that has grown too powerful to ignore. President Trump has declared open war on Mexican drug cartels, not just a war on drugs, but a full-scale military conflict. This is a historic escalation, signaling that the United States is prepared to use its armed forces to confront the cartels head-on. The cartels are now officially designated as foreign terrorist organizations. This new label changes everything, unlocking powerful tools for law enforcement and the military to pursue cartel leaders and their networks worldwide. For the first time, the U.S. military is authorized to engage them directly. Troops are mobilizing, helicopters are in the air, and the border is transforming into a fortified front line. This is a turning point in American national security. The era of half measures and endless border debates is over. The government is sending a message. The safety of American citizens comes first. The president, flanked by military leaders, called the cartels a direct threat to American sovereignty. He argued they are no longer just criminal gangs, but paramilitary forces controlling territory, wielding military-grade weapons, and terrorizing entire populations on both sides of the border. This is not a police action, it's a military operation to defend our homeland. For years, we watched violence escalate and drugs pour in, devastating communities and overwhelming law enforcement. Washington's old solutions failed. The cartels only grew stronger, more ruthless, and more deeply entrenched in both Mexico and the United States. Now, a president has called them what they are, an enemy force. The implications are staggering. What does this mean for our soldiers, our border, and the millions affected by this crisis? The nation is bracing for the unknown. Critics call it reckless, but for families devastated by fentanyl and cartel violence, this is a day of hope. For them, the cost of inaction has been unbearable. The president's message is clear: America will fight back. The corporate media may panic, politicians may argue, but the reality is undeniable. The nation is demanding action. This is a seismic shift in policy, a new era for the nation. The cartels have killed more Americans than many foreign armies, leaving a trail of heartbreak and destruction. The time for polite diplomacy is over. The border is now a battlefield, and the stakes have never been higher. The president has made a choice: defend American lives at any cost. For those who have lost loved ones, this is not a day of fear. It's a day of action, a day when the government finally listens to their cries for help. America is no longer waiting for the problem to solve itself. Tonight, the fight begins. The world is watching, and the outcome will shape the future of the nation for generations to come. Declaring war on cartels is a legal game-changer. The president now wields powers reserved for fighting terrorist groups. This isn't about arrests, it's about eliminating a threat. By designating cartels as hostile armed groups, the president invokes his authority as commander-in-chief. Military action can proceed without a formal declaration of war, just as after 9/11. This opens the door to drone strikes, special forces raids, and deep intelligence operations. The border is now treated as a battlefield, not a crime scene. Critics warn of overreach, but the administration insists. When Americans are dying, you fight to win. The Posse Comitatus Act's restrictions are bypassed under these new authorities. The president's stance: survival comes first. The legal framework is set, the gloves are off. America is at war. The administration paints a dire picture. The border is not just a line on a map, but a wound that continues to bleed, threatening the nation's safety and stability. Ruthless cartels are flooding America with poison, exploiting every weakness they can find. Fentanyl, a synthetic opioid, is now the leading killer of young Americans, devastating families and communities across the country. The White House calls this a deliberate chemical attack by foreign organizations, a crisis that demands urgent action and national unity. Defensive measures, walls, advanced technology, and increased manpower have helped slow the tide, but they're not enough to stop it completely. The cartels treat the border as a minor obstacle, constantly adapting and finding new ways to breach our defenses. The administration argues this is a matter of national security, not just law enforcement or border control. Cartels destabilize Mexico, corrupt governments, and amass billions for weapons and technology, growing more powerful each year. In some regions, they are the de facto government, ruling through fear and violence. The threat is no longer hypothetical, it's here, affecting American lives every single day. The president believes this war is necessary to counter a clear and present danger, and to protect the nation's future. Cartels are a hostile foreign power on our doorstep, challenging our sovereignty and security. The time for pretending is over. The American people demand real solutions and decisive action. America must name the enemy and act with resolve, using every tool at its disposal. Anything less is a failure of duty. The fight is now, and the nation's security depends on it. We sat down with Acting DHS Secretary Thomas Miller to gain first-hand insight into the administration's evolving border security strategy and the challenges they face on the front lines. Miller explains that recent border policies have shown measurable results. Drug seizures are up significantly, and overdose rates are beginning to stabilize, especially in areas where new technology and increased manpower have been deployed. He credits these improvements to a combination of advanced surveillance, better intelligence sharing, and a renewed focus on interagency cooperation. However, he cautions that the fight is far from over. Cartels are highly adaptive, constantly shifting their routes and tactics to evade law enforcement, making the situation a moving target. The new war powers, Miller says, allow the U.S. to strike at the source of the problem, not just react at the border. This means targeting cartel infrastructure and leadership deep inside their networks. According to Miller, cartels are feeling the pressure like never before. Profits are down, infighting is up, and their human smuggling operations are being severely disrupted. The stay-in-Mexico policy, combined with rapid repatriation efforts, has choked off a major source of cartel cash flow, making it harder for them to operate. Now, with expanded military authority, the U.S. can target cartel leadership directly, disrupting their command structures and sending a clear message. Miller's message to Americans is direct. Who would you rather have protecting your family? The U.S. military, with its discipline and resources, or the ruthless Sinaloa cartel? He emphasizes that the president stands firmly with American families, determined to break with the status quo and restore safety and order. For years, Washington managed decline, accepting rising violence and instability. Now, the administration is fighting for the nation's survival and security. Miller insists, this isn't about starting a new war. It's about finally ending one that's been waged against the American people for decades. The stakes have never been higher, but the mission is clear: protect American lives and restore control. The administration is confident. Momentum is building, and the tide is turning in America's favor. The cartels are now on the defensive, scrambling to adapt to the new reality. For the first time in years, America is taking the fight directly to the enemy, refusing to back down. The message from leadership is clear: we will not falter, and we will win. The war is real, the threat is real, and so is the resolve of those defending the border. The administration is all in. The battle for America's future has truly begun. As the war escalates, so does scrutiny of the tools used. ICE's new tracking app, using GPS and facial recognition, is under fire from privacy advocates. The administration calls it a practical alternative to detention, ensuring migrants appear for court. Critics call it surveillance, but the old system failed. Many never showed up. The app brings accountability without overcrowding detention centers. Meanwhile, threats against law enforcement are rising. Cartel scouts have targeted agents' homes. The FBI has issued warnings. This is no longer just crime, it's war. The government is boosting security and counterintelligence for agents. The stakes are clear. Our frontline officers face ruthless armed enemies. When cartels target law enforcement as enemy combatants, America must respond in kind. The conflict is escalating on both sides. The safety of agents and their families is now a national priority. The war is personal. As the president declares war, Washington is paralyzed by a government shutdown. Democrats refuse to fund border security, calling the president's policies inhumane. The result? Essential operations are hampered, budgets frozen, and planning stalled. The shutdown is more than a budget fight, it's a battle over national security. The president won't back down. He demands real border protection. One party wants security, the other opposes the very tools needed to fight the cartels. The shutdown exposes a fundamental divide over America's future as a sovereign nation. The stakes are higher than ever. Political gamesmanship is putting lives at risk. The crisis is real, and the clock is ticking. America's future hangs in the balance. The war on cartels is unfolding in a deeply divided America. For the left, immigration is a moral crusade, not a security issue. They see open borders as a path to political power, not a threat to law or resources. The debate over healthcare is tied in. Should taxpayers cover millions here illegally? Securing the border is about protecting our social safety net for citizens. The divide is stark: America first versus globalism. The war on cartels is just one front in a larger battle for the nation's soul. The stakes: sovereignty, security, and the future of America. The fight is far from over. Why such fierce resistance to the president's border war? The left rejects the nation-state, seeing borders as immoral and patriotism as bigotry. Their loyalty is to globalism, not America. They use any argument, racism, inhumanity, to oppose border security. The victims of cartel violence are invisible to them. Chaos at the border fuels their political narrative and keeps their organizations relevant. A secure border would undermine their agenda. They thrive on crisis, not solutions. The left will fight the president, not the cartels. They stand with activists and media, not with American victims. The real battle is not just against cartels, but against powerful interests within our own country. The war is for America's future. The outcome will define a generation.